Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this is going to be a War Within Warlock beta feedback update slash weird interactions slash this needs buffs kind of video. I'm not going to update the feedback document. I can text right now. I might get it updated before this video comes out, and if I do, I'll link it below. But I want to hit on some things now that we're getting into like mythic testing and like the middle part of beta that are either bugged or really just like interacting in awkward ways or undertuned in a sense, to hit on them and try and get the class in as enjoyable a state as possible heading into War Within. Now, like I mentioned in the last video, the Warlock beta spreadsheet War Within is now live. If you'd like early access to that, if you'd like early access to that, the tier 3 fellow guard rank or higher Patreon does indeed get that. If you're interested in it, it should be a link down below. At the same time, if you see any week wars or add-ons to this video you'd like to acquire, links to my Twitch and Discord down below as well, where they are all free for you guys. Yeah, let's get it rolling. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to look at the feedback document, but I lied to y'all. I figured I might as well go through and look at what's changed from last time around, and then hit on things that sort of need to change still and all that. I might update this by the time the video comes out. I'm not sure. Might take an extra day, but either way, it's the weekend. We'll figure it out. Briefly, I mean, we already hit on Fiendish Stride. They probably need to up the damage reduction this thing gives you. Like, I think it's 10% now, roughly. Sorry, a bit more. Yeah, it is 10%, which is not much at all. And Burning Rush actually hurts a good bit now, comparatively to before. So, wouldn't mind seeing a bump to that, damage negation wise. A lot of 2-point talents in the tree still. Demon Skin, Fell Armor, Accrued Vitality, all this stuff here, all being 2 points, can be a decent bit, can probably be condensed into one, especially with the affix M+ now being like CC related. I want to have Shadow Fury M+, which we have. I want to have Dark Fury. I want to play Coil, which I do typically, but I want Hell of Terror, right? I want Dark Fury. I want other options here and there. Amplify Curse at times. I want to have, sometimes I even played teaching certain fights for my Felguard's charge range to be increased, but there's not a whole lot of wiggle room left when it comes to taking different talents of things based on all these 2-point nodes here. So wouldn't mind seeing that condensed a little bit. That's been the feedback for a little while. Soul Conduit mentioned as well. I think this needs to be like 10%, honestly. Lock does flow pretty well, but I feel like for a capstone, a 5% soul shard refund chance is not incredibly strong. If anything, make it like 10% for Affliction, maybe 10 for Destruction, leave it at 5 for Demonology, based on how each spec spends shards. I can't say that. Because like Demo spends shards much faster than Affliction, generate shards faster, Destrous in the middle, so on and so forth. Wouldn't mind seeing 10 for 2 specs, leave it at 5 for Demo if you want, but either way, probably needs some attention, all of that. So that's basically that. I want to hit on AF here. So we'll start here. Let me scroll to the AF part of the document. I'm not even sure where it's at. Affliction. So we talked a lot about center of the tree gate 2 pathing. I need to make this smaller for you guys so you guys can see it all. Gate 2 essentially means like, what is that? PayPal? What is that? Gate 1 is basically up here, and gate 2 is like in this general section here, right? And I think the gate 1 part of AF's tree is like fine for the most part. Obviously, like having Kindled Malice and Virtuosity at 2-point nodes is a bit awkward here. I want to play 2 points of Virtuosity for Soul Harvester, but I mean, it's hard to find points. But it sort of works, right? But I feel like, especially with Malediction being reverted back to the way it was initially, giving you a crit strike chance at 10%, the middle of the tree here is pretty clogged with like choices that I want. I do know that like Call of the Week is not incredibly strong in single target, but it feels like Rapture is much better in single target. Anything that buffs Rapture, realistically, I want to take. But at the same time, it is more AoE based. But even like if I'm not playing this, right? Even if I'm playing things like, you know, Cutting Cruelty, which is like okay in single target now, it's been nerfed a bit, but it's not bad. The pathing becomes sort of awkward. I can take Haunt and improve Haunt and Shadow's Embrace and all this stuff, so on and so forth. But I have like, when it comes to my capstone row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm taking 2 points from down here and essentially putting them up here to grab more things that I want. And realistically, I mean, I could take a third one and put it in Cutting Cruelty, right? So if I shift points out of this, for example, I can go back down here and put a point, say, in Improved Rapture, and find a point somewhere else, say, in Improved Haunt, and put it down here. But I want this quality of life. I want to play my Dark Lair in general. I want this. I want this for Dark Lair. It's not bad in single target. Dark Lair is actually undervalued. It's not like it's amazing at all, but the dot extension you get with Dark Lair paired with Malign Omen is really strong for like buffing later Raptures in your big Dark Lair window. Is it incredible? No. I think Dark Lair needs buff in the first place, like for like hasting dots or whatever. But either way, this row still seems a little clogged. You can make it work, but it feels like, man, improved haunt feels great. It worked this way for a long time. We just haunt applying Shadow's Embrace, but I can't really get it now anymore, and it's back in a sense. And I want that, but I can't get it, right? So hopefully I can look at it at some point, but we'll see where that goes. Death's Embrace has been changed. This is a good change. It was essentially doubled. Good change. This is whatever, because honestly, I like AC being a single target thing. Okay. This was changed, but this sort of brings me to these capstone talents, right? Perpetual Instability. I suggested making it Cascading Calamity. This was changed too. Very nice. They swapped Malign Omen and Dark Harvest. Very cool to see. Good change. I think when it comes to like Perpetual Instability, like this, a lot of these talent nodes here, man, for like capstones or even like semi capstones, like penultimate capstones, whatever, they're not incredibly valuable. Relinquish is like a 1% DPS increase. Rapture is like improved Rapture, like 1% as well. I believe I've heard this is like a 0.6% increase overall damage wise. They're not incredibly strong for a capstone. 0.6%, that's pretty rough. This is like 1.5% in single target, and with improved Rapture, it feels like you want it. Under hasted effects and things, it's putting it under GCD in the first place. So the cast reduction is sort of mediocre regardless, right? I'm sitting at a 1.3 second cast right now at 22% haste, I believe, roughly 20%, right? So it's putting you in this range where you don't even really need to cast it, or need it anyways, barring the 5% buff here. So would I path around it? Then I skip Malefic Touch, which is not great either, but I want to spend more capstone points, but a lot of them are just sort of subpar. I'd love this to be Cascading Calamity, because realistically, the cast time on UA, it's honestly 1.3 seconds as well, which is the same as like the Rapture reduction here. I mean, 10% and 20%, it's so fast, it doesn't really matter. And I'm casting UA essentially once every 15 seconds, right? It doesn't really matter a whole lot. I'm not spamming UA. And the refresh amount is just not enough really either. It's like 1.5% of my damage, I think, roughly. I think it's even less than that. Having an effect like Cascading Calamity, which rewards you for refreshing your UA, still with the other one up and all that, in pandemic range, gives you more haste, make the spec flow better, so on and so forth, right? So I think the bottom of Aft tree is interesting. You have like Shard Gen nodes, Malefic Touch, like Universal Shadowflame nodes, Death's Embrace, Oblivion for single target, like Nuke, all that, but the nodes aren't strong enough. Like this needs to be like probably 3 procs per minute instead of 1.2. Probably like make this like 150k damage, at least like 100k. Instead of 33, this probably needs to be something else. Honestly, it's sort of awkward. And as far as like Relinquish is concerned, I like the ability, but it feels like 1.1% shard generation chance just seems sort of awkward, and it could be somewhere up here in the tree, maybe instead, or just buff it more. I like the ability, but I don't see myself playing it really in any spot, just because of how like valuable these points are in your capstone row, or the points you want to spend up here. Like Malevolent Visionary is like, I think 3.5%. Like if you put a point in this talent overall, this is like 1% or whatever. It's not worth it, right? You know, but overall, I think it's a good design, a pretty solid design down here. Just they don't do a whole lot. They need to be buffed numerically, probably to make them relevant. As like, I'm taking points down here and putting up here in like Visionary and Cunning Cruelty and things, right? So getting into later parts of beta, tuning wise and all that, that's what we need to look forward to. Now, as far as bugs are concerned for Affliction, there's a few I want to hit on here. And if I missed any bugs in this video in general, guys, put them down below. I'll try and add them to the document. The first thing here, when you are playing Soul Harvester for Affliction, this might be an intended interaction. I'm not really sure. With the change to Shadow of Death. So what happens here, whenever you cast Soul Rot, you basically get 2 guaranteed Succulent Souls. Succulent Souls, for those that don't know, are essentially right here. Succulent Soul empowers your next Rapture, reducing its cost by 1. So making it free, essentially, right? Increased damage, all that, and your demon spawns does damage. Now, if you have both Succulent Soul procs and Tormented Crescendo procs, they both make them cost no shards. Crescendo is instant cast. This thing is not, but it increases damage, right? So let me try and get into combat here briefly and show you guys. Hopefully we get a proc or 2 here. I'm going to put this up, hope for a TC proc. I'll wait till we get one, then we'll go into, like, Soul Rot, right? But hoping for a proc, praying to get one. Maybe at some point we'll get one. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, there's one. So I cast my Soul Rot here. Watch my buffs. 2 Succulent Souls, 2 Crescendo procs, hit 1 Rapture. So it consumes a stack of both. Now it's an instant cast Rapture, right? But essentially, when I have 2 stacks of each, that's essentially 4 free Raptures. You would get like 2 from Crescendo, which would be instant cast, and you get 2 from Succulent Souls or whatever it's called, which aren't instant cast, but they also cost no shards. Now, this could be an intended interaction. Maybe they want it to work that way, because realistically, it's like 5 free Raptures, and you're capped on shards too. It could just be intended to work that way. And it does still make your Crescendo proc, still do make your Succulent Souls instant cast, which is like not bad. But if it's not intended, it's worth bringing up, because if it's not supposed to be that way, you're losing 2 to 3 Raptures in a sense there, right? That are costing no shards. So worth pointing out. Second bug here I want to hit on with Affliction. It's been around for a very long time. It's sort of hard to show. I might not be able to get it to happen here, but it's essentially whenever you're casting like your dots, whatever, this and that. If you get a Tormented Crescendo proc, like let's dump this now. When you're casting Rapture, like mid-Rapture cast, it will literally consume the Crescendo proc, like mid-Rapture cast. Like you'll get it to proc, and then, oh, cool, I was mid-Rapture cast, it consumes the Crescendo proc, and you won't get that free Rapture. If it would have happened there, I would have seen it, and this has been a bug on retail for a long time, and it made it to Warthin. So 2 bugs, both like based around Crescendo, maybe 1 bug, 1 awkward interaction, but either way, hitting on those, I think it's pretty important for rotational fluidity, all that. The third thing I want to hit on here is Phantom Singularity and Infirmity. This is an issue back in Aberrus. We had this bonus too. So, Infirmity, enemies damaged by PS take 10% increased damage for its duration, right? The problem here is that when you're playing Singularity, Singularity's duration is reduced by the amount of haste you have. It ticks the same amount, but the duration is reduced. So let's, for example, it's 13.4. The tooltip here, right? 13.4. If I take off some haste gear, let's remove like this, and let's remove this. Look at the duration now. 14 seconds. So you're getting the same amount of ticks in the Singularity, it's just half a second longer. Which seems, oh, well, I want a faster Singularity with the same amount of ticks, right? Which theoretically would make sense. But the issue is that the longer Singularity lasts, the longer Infirmity lasts. And this is a problem in Aberrus, and it's going to be a problem again now. So Singularity likely needs a set duration, because if you're getting power infusions and bloodlust and whatever, it's actually pretty short. You're not getting full Infirmity value, right? So it's going to devalue haste for Affliction a bit, with this being the case. It's just awkward gameplay in general. It's sort of like a non-bow, right? So I want to hit on the Succulent Soul TC thing, the TC bug thing, and Infirmity. Likely, or sorry, I guess PS with Infirmity, likely just needing a set duration. Make it like just baseline 15-second duration, whatever it is. Doesn't change with haste, and that is that. Maybe make it tick more with haste, that's fine, but don't change the baseline duration. 15 seconds for Singularity, for example, whether you have 1% haste or 100% haste. Make it 15 seconds for a static, constant overall value when it comes to playing Infirmity. I believe it's all I have for AF for the most part. Obviously, Dark Lair could be buffed, like probably just like making dots tick like a bit more often. Like give it like a whatever the old talent here was that made dots tick faster or more often would be cool if it's active, something like that. But honestly, in the end, I think Dark Lair is a little undervalued with this current version of AF. I'm playing it. I think it's worthwhile in testing, not by a crazy amount, but in the end, like you want to play your main demon as the spec you're playing regardless. But for AF, I believe it's about it. If I think of anything else I forgot, I'll add it to document. But yeah, that is the case for AF. Let's look at Demonology. All right, so Demonology. We talked about it already in the last feedback overhaul or update and stuff. Umbro Blaze positioning is like, I'll hit on it again, but realistically, it sort of, I guess, is what it is. I would love to see a swap with Pact of the Antmother and Umbro Blaze here, just like swap positions to make it like Pact here, Umbro Blaze here. Pact is like universally relevant. It's good in single target, good in AoE, all the above. Umbro Blaze is restrictive, where it's really only good in single target. Even when it comes to that, it's sort of mediocre. Now, if Umbro Blaze applied this dot to every mob that had a Gul'dan hit, for example, it'd be better. It'd be good basically everywhere. But unfortunately, it's not really the case. And having like a universally relevant talent locked behind a single target like niche talent seems a bit awkward. A swap here would be nice for quality of life, be able to get Pact basically everywhere. But at the same time, it sort of puts Pact up here in like the Gate 2 section of the tree, which might not be what they want as far as like power level is concerned, but want to bring it up maybe worth mentioning. There's that. Dogs have been fixed, thankfully. Very cool to see. They work with Tyrant and are extendable now. All that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. One thing here that is not working, though, is Houndmaster's Gambit. And this is unfortunate because I've wanted to make the Demonology video for like damage breakdowns and all that for a few weeks now, but it's bugged still. Whenever this is fixed, I think a build may emerge playing things like Dread Calling, maybe looking at things like other dog-based effects and stuff too. Like, I know this is like Dread Lash, like an AoE, but it does more damage in general, 10% more. I want to see if a big dog build emerges with Houndmaster's Gambit, but unfortunately, it's still bugged. It's bugged whether you're playing Fahar, G2, or Vile Fiend. So hopefully it's fixed in a upcoming build, but there is that. Briefly hitting on cores here, hit it on a bunch. I played Demo more and more on PTR, played a lot today in testing, and I cannot tell you how disappointing it is not having consistent cores, even like semi-consistent from where they used to be. Obviously in 10.0 things were a little wild. You had 1 million cores a minute. That was okay. I get why they wanted to reel it in a bit. I'm not going to harp on it a whole lot more, but I really think having dogs at 100% again, giving 2 cores, is really needed for this expectational everything. Fluidity, all the above. Single target, AoE, Tyrant setup, everything. It's really needed. It's very unfortunate having to hold Power Siphon for your Tyrant because you can't guarantee you're going to have resources for your rotation. Less RNG, consistency makes rotations fun. RNG like that, where it's frustrating RNG, where it's basically, hey, it worked the way it should, or how it used to, where it used to feel good, or it didn't work at all and feels bad, is not what you want to have when it comes to like fun and enjoyment. Like I said, I would trade it to literally have a guaranteed 1 demonic core from dog expiring versus 2 at 39%. There's been so many times that I've gotten 0 cores and it just feels terrible. I'm drinking some water. Sorry guys, it is what it is. Other thing here that somebody brought up in DMs to me, I think it's a really good idea actually, is Fiendish Ablation. So they brought up and said, Fiendish Ablation is not being played in a whole lot of spots, maybe in some builds, but they said, what if Fiendish Ablation gave you a demonic core whenever you cast your Grimoire Felguard and not when it expires? And I was like, actually, that's a pretty good idea, because you wouldn't have Grimoire every Tyrant, it's every other Tyrant, but that one guaranteed core during your Tyrant setup where you want cores and you want to try and get 15 imps for Ring of Tyranny, you want to cast your dogs and your dog, and your dogs is like plural, that would be really good. It's consistency, right? Maybe every other Tyrant, but that'd be a really good idea. Making Fiendish Ablation give you a core whenever you cast your Grimoire, right? Because whenever Grimoire expires, you got 10 imp expiring, 4 dog expiring, the whole legion's expiring, and typically you get a handful of cores coming in anyways, from your 20 imps out, your 4 dogs, so on and so forth. But making Ablation give you a core when you cast Grimoires, I think that's actually a really good idea, and would definitely smooth the rotation out a good bit in Tyrant setups and all that. So definitely, I think if you're Blizz, if you're hearing this, please consider that. That'd be really cool, actually. A good change, and it wouldn't be like, oh, we're giving them more cores. No, we're just giving them a core, a guaranteed core, at a time where it needs to be guaranteed for better rotational fluidity, so on and so forth. One thing here as well, briefly, is like when it comes to Immutable Hatred, this needs buffs a crazy amount tuning wise. Demonic cores have been nerfed a bunch, that we talked about. We're holding Power Siphons for Tyrants now and stuff. This was like 1.9% of my damage, I think, in single target testing today, and Demo's bugged, doing less damage than it should. It should be less than, it will be less than that when it's fixed. This needs to be probably like made 100k, 80k, probably like 70k would be a good place, I think, numerically for this compared to what it is now. Roughly, that'd be like probably like 7%, 6% roughly, like give or take, when bugs are fixed with Demo. Our core economy is just not as good as it was. There's no guaranteed cores, and no guaranteed cores makes tuning things like Immutable Hatred harder to do. But regardless, I think hitting Hatred with a buff is certainly needed. It feels very subpar playing in single target. I'm hoping, if it stays the way it is, that a dog build with like Gambit and things is hopefully, well, better. This was fixed, feels much better now. Very good change from Blizz, awesome to see, great. Now there is one thing I want to show you all with Demonology. I noticed it earlier when I was raid testing, and if it stays this way, it's sort of dangerous, because it might end up being gamed in certain settings, and it's going to feel awkward to game this, and by gamed, I mean like, used to your advantage. I wouldn't say exploited, but you see what I'm saying. So I was playing Diabolos Demo earlier, and I realized when we were fighting a boss, I'm going to go into combat here, all that, that, the cyclical nature of Diabolus is you always summon your Overfiend first, Overlord, then Mother of Chaos, and then Pit Lord, right? For example, Overfiend coming down in 6 seconds, whatever. I'm going to summon him here, and then I'm going to run away. I'm going to leave combat, right? So Mother of Chaos is ticking down here, whatever. No big deal. I'm going to run away. There's this. I'm going to come over here. Now, I'm going to get the actual effect from her in about 6 seconds here. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to touch it. We're just gonna let it go. It's a minute long, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm gonna cancel it out here. So what I noticed in testing earlier is that when I died in testing and I spawned like an Overlord into Mother of Chaos, I come back and I pull the boss again, and my next pet summon is a Pit Lord on pull. So you can game this where, let's say, oh, pull the boss, proc the Warlock's ritual, reset it, whatever. All right, pull it again, game it again. Okay, now Pit Lord's up. And it might not seem like a big difference. Oh, it's Pit Lord, whatever. He's obviously the strongest one, right? But the thing is, in your opener, when you want 15 imps in your Tyrant due to Reign of Tyranny and things, that Pit Lord basically guarantees that. Because that Ruination he gives you is 3 free imps. It's a 3-shard Hand of Gul'dan with a lot of damage on the effect as well. Doesn't consume shards, so you get a free Hand of Gul'dan. That almost guarantees a full 15 imp Tyrant, and Ruination also crushes, does a lot of damage, right? So I think in dungeons probably okay, not a big deal, but like when I'm going into a raid setting, like wiping early, dying, summoning one mob or one thing with like Overfiend, and I come back again, it should be the Overfiend again first. And if I die again after summoning Overfiend the Mother of Chaos, I come back again, it should be Overfiend again. It shouldn't be, you know, Pit Lord next, if that makes sense. You want it to be a consistent cyclical nature. With it being like gameable like that, chances are high it's just an oversight, but it could very well lead to some pretty crazy stuff when it comes to like pull a boss, reset fast after a Warlock casts a shard spell, right? Pull a boss, reset, pull boss, whatever, pull him out of the room, reset it a bunch. All right, the Warlocks are ready. Pit Lord's queued up, go in. PI to locks. PI on locks with big Reign of Tyranny and stuff is still pretty massive. I had a PI on a pull or two earlier where I had that queued up, and you think AF is good. Demo was juicing way past AF. So that needs to be fixed. I know it's a bit like, oh, it might not be as fun, but like to save y'all headaches from resetting bosses and things, need to fix that. Let's look at Destro. And finally, we have Destruction, which honestly has changed a good bit. I think I'm probably overall the happiest with Destro's tree out of all 3 specs. Not saying it's incredible or anything, but it's like the best that there ever is, but it's still pretty decent. So listen, we've hit on Cataclysm and Inferno a million times. Splitting them off and making them be like Cata here, Inferno here would be great. This is a weird talent. I don't know why it's here. Would be awesome. Like, Rain of Fire could literally lead into Inferno. Be super sick, be a really fun AV profile and all that. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. I did see him. I noticed a bit when I was looking at a Havoc build recently that it is a little awkward that you can't really go into like Havoc and then path into Scalding Flames or Indiscriminate Flames through Havoc. To get these, I have to like still path through Rain of Fire and Cata, where at times I might want Havoc, but I don't always want Rain of Fire or Cata, which is an odd spot to be in, but certain times you might not. Probably not worth mentioning as far as like feedback's concerned, like, hey, this should be changed, but it would be nice to have these connect at some point, but yeah, that's what it is. This has been fixed. Chaos Incarnate, good to see. Working as it should now. Infernal, been moved, good to see. Dimensional Rifts have been moved, good to see. I do want to mention that Infernal, or Rifts should likely be buffed a considerable amount. This is not working. If you're not playing Rift, this does not give you a random chance to spawn a Rift by just casting Incinerate. That does not work. You have to be playing Rift, and then it'll give you a chance to reset. How do I word this? If you're playing Rift, Incinerate gives you a chance to get a Rift charge back. If you're not playing Rift, it says Incinerate can spawn a Rift randomly. That part doesn't work. So hopefully it's fixed soon. At the same time, the Incinerate reset rate when you're playing Rift is very, very low. I assume the proc rate, if you're not playing it, is also going to be very low. Probably should be increased a decent bit. And I think Fire and Brimstone should also affect the recharge rate on this via this. Because like it seems like it's like 1 proc per minute. It's very, very low. You know, that even if I looked at and addressed, the damage on Rifts is very, very low right now. It should be buffed, even when you're playing this in AoE. I wouldn't mind seeing Flame Rift added to this as well. So you have 4 Rifts possible. You can even remove Shadow Rift or whatever one of them, put Flame Rift in its place. But probably needs a buff with damage, needs this to be buffed a good bit, and probably buff this as well. But Rifts are there, but not really tuned yet. This has grown on me a bit. I don't mind Soulfire being down here. I think it's fine. RDF and wither tensions do indeed work. Very cool to see. It's very strong, feels great. They changed the duration from 0.2 to 0.5, which you suggested here, to 0.4. Very, very cool to see. Awesome, good change. This is probably fine. You probably could trim like power overwhelming and things, but I don't know. It'll be a little more interesting if Rift is good to see what you want to take down here. But like without Rift being a worthwhile like option, the tree feels fine where it's at now. When you factor in Rift and things, we'll see where it goes. I do want to mention that Wither is still bugged. When you're playing CDF, at times it will not allow you to cast CDF whether it's active. Not sure what that bug is, but it is indeed still bugged. And also, when it comes to Flashpoint, I think Flashpoint should likely be buffed to where it's at currently on retail, where at rank 2 out of 12, it is 4812. Make the rank 1 version here 4812, because 246 feels really low in general. I'm not playing this in single target anymore because I can path, into this just through Infernal, which is great, good change. I don't know if I really even want to play it in AoE. I probably will, but like I'm not incredibly excited about it. Making this 4812 though would be great. It would help out a lot. It feels pretty unimpactful now. At the same time, you can get stacks from this, right? Which would make it feel even better. But unfortunately, like when you're playing single target and stuff and getting these stacks, even if you're getting 3 stacks from this, like with a reproc, you can't really feel it. It's like 6% haste, and then you sort of can, but it's like, But making it 4812, I don't think it'd be too strong at all. But it would make it feel better and like, oh, this is worth taking. I want this guaranteed when I go into a pack and cast Cataclysm or put up my Wither, versus like, if it procs, great. If not, whatever, but it's sort of mid regardless. So, but yeah, I think for the most part, that just about wraps things up for all the specs and stuff. I really enjoy playing Warlock a lot. Oh, one thing. Malevolence. Please take it off the GCD. That's for Destruction and Affliction. Need to hit on that, because when I'm going into a pack and hitting my buttons and like everything's cranking, hit my trinket, I'm ready to go, I hit Malevolence. Wait. All right, now we're going. Feels awkward. Please, if possible, take it off the GCD. That'd be super sick and make the spec feel even more, well, just better. Right. So thanks for watching, guys. That wraps it up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I wanted to make this video like pretty quickly. I know I haven't released the last raid testing video from today, but I want to get this out in the weekend before Monday and all that, to maybe get things flowing for the next build, the build after, bug-wise, interaction-wise, quality life-wise, so on and so forth. Now, I mentioned at the start of the video also, once again, the Warlock War Within beta spreadsheet is indeed live. If you'd like early access to that, the Tier 3 Fellow rank of Patreon or higher does indeed get early access to that. If you're interested in that, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the description. And also, while we're here, a massive shout out to all my patrons for all support, y'all. Thank you just a million times, guys. Like always, I really appreciate it. And like any weekly Warlocks add-ons, also down below in the description, Twitch, Discord, so on and so forth. Now, I think Warlock's in a pretty solid spot on beta regardless. It's really fun to play. We're not like Arcane Mage busted, but there's, they're bugged and doing damage this week. When it comes to like numerical tuning, people are asking a lot, what's the best, what's the worst? If I was going to talk about it right now at midnight on 6/28, so June 28th, it is Affliction, Destruction, and Demonology, but from best to worst. But that can literally change in a matter of minutes if they tune things. And tuning is coming. They're going to tune things, buff things, nerf things. Best and worst, whatever holds 0 value now whatsoever, it's all going to change. And classes are bugged, so on and so forth. So if you're curious about that stuff, I wouldn't worry about it much now. Find a class you enjoy playing, and combat, all that, what feels good to you, and then go from there. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton. And I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.